What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise Postgame show. The Blazers lay an absolute egg tonight, ending their 6-game winning streak. They lose to the Washington Wizards at home, 111 to 118. And this is going to have a different tenor to it because we've been used to winning lately. And tonight, the Blazers showed that they're not completely past all their flaws. Terry Stotts hasn't, figured much out, in my opinion. I'm just going to go in because, honestly, I thought this was a very poorly played game from the Portland Trail Blazers. They had a good first quarter, 43 points in the first quarter, 12 in the second. 12 points in the second quarter against a Washington Wizards defense, which is near the bottom in the league. I know the Wizards are playing a little bit better, but 12 points in the second quarter, and it didn't get much better in the second half. It got better in the third quarter, but the fourth quarter, their offense was right back to being basically complete garbage. And for me, man, I just want to start off on this topic. This game was a perfect example of the Blazers moving the ball well and getting good shots and shooting the ball well. Right? In that first quarter, they moved the ball very, very well, Eric, and you pointed this out. Moved the ball very, very well. Had 10 assists, 0 turnovers, right? I thought, if you move the ball more, it automatically means more turnovers, which is bad, according to some people. But 10 assists, no turnovers in the first half, or in the first quarter. 43 points. The second quarter, our ball movement went from very, very good to completely non-existent. We score 12 points, have 0 assists in the second quarter, 5 turnovers. It was a perfect example, that first half, of when this team moves the ball, it's really good offensively, and it shoots the ball well, and it's just, things work, right? And then in the second quarter, it was a perfect example of when we get away from that, how bad our offense can be, even though we have a lot of offensive talent out there. So this game was extremely infuriating to me because I don't understand how obvious it needs to be for the Blazers to just stick with trying to move the ball, right? It's just why it's working so well. I don't understand why they move away from it. How it can go from so good to so bad like that. It was extremely frustrating for me. The shot selection in this game was maybe the worst shot selection of the entire season. The types of shots the Blazers got, I don't want to hear they just missed shots. They took some terrible, terrible, terrible shots in the second and fourth quarter. And yeah, they missed them because they were terrible shots. Dame could not get a good look pretty much all game long, and he still dropped 35 points, right? You got Gary Trent Jr. shooting some terrible shots. You got Carmelo Anthony this game shooting some terrible shots. He would have shot another one. I tweeted this out. I thought this was a little funny, so a little comedic humor for you guys just to lighten the mood a little bit. But I mean, the microcosm of this game was Carmelo Anthony pushing the ball up the court and trying to post up from the 3-point line, LiAngelo Ball style. Thankfully, we got saved by a defensive 3 seconds, but my goodness, so many no pass possessions, so many possessions where we settle for contested threes, where we have no ball movement. Just, this was a pathetic offensive effort from the Blazers, right? And they have the talent to maybe make more of these shots and still score 120 on terrible shots, but the types of shots they got in the shot selection, shot quality in this game was absolutely terrible, and there is no excuse for it. So what did you think about the ball movement? I do want to touch on the trapping in the fourth quarter, which we had no answer for, and that's always been a critique of ours. But first, just the overall ball movement throughout the game. In your tweet in the first quarter, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so we've seen in the past, the Philadelphia game where Dame doesn't play, it seemed like the attitude of all the players on the court while they were playing was, we're going to work the ball around and get the best possible shot. Whereas you look at the first half of the second quarter tonight, and it was just literally turn after turn of these guys isoing and taking horrible shots, not really passing at all. It was brick after brick. And then people just say, oh, well, they weren't making shots. But that's because they were taking terrible shots that were, contested, and they weren't moving the ball. only one person was touching the ball every possession. And it was the complete opposite of what we've seen yet again. Like you mentioned, how many games last year and this year so far have we seen a game where a quarter or a half we move the ball brilliantly and we're blowing a team out, and then the second half we go all ISO and it completely stagnates? I don't think we ran a single freaking play in the second half. We suck on offense and we don't even run a set play. They come out of a timeout, get a wide open lay-in, or something off a set play, and we don't run a play in the timeout. We just go right back to pick and roll. What is the point of calling timeouts if you're not going to set something up to get an easy look the next time you're down? And there was one time tonight where Dame ran off the ball. He gets a pick in the corner from Melo, comes up, curls, is wide open, just drives to the hoop and lays it in. Easy 2 points. The one time they used him off ball tonight. And do we see it again? No. Do we try anything different when Dame's getting double teamed? No. It's the same coaching mistakes. We told you not to be fooled by this win streak. It's not conducive to winning when the pressure ramps up in a tight game. And Dame can be a hero. He almost, he came out on fire in the third quarter, which is the only reason why we even scored in the second half, I think. Mm-hmm. But he can't save us every game. He just can't. He's due for a bad shooting game like he had tonight, and it's incumbent on this coaching staff to have a backup plan or some sort of way to get someone an open shot and get going in a game like this where no one else was really doing anything outside of the first quarter. And that's the frustrating part, is you saw it in the first quarter and it worked well. They were doing stuff. Same thing first game against the Lakers in the playoffs. We're actually running sets and passing the ball and everything's going great. And then we don't see that again the rest of the series. It's what the heck is going, why aren't you trying to do the things that got you that lead in the first quarter? It's just baffling to me.
Yep. I thought the ball movement in the first quarter was really, really good. In the third quarter, it was mediocre. The second and fourth quarters, it was non-existent and terrible. The second and fourth quarters, we got outscored 59-31. 59-31. Okay? And there will be people that just ignore the obvious, but it's obvious. It should be obvious that when this team moves the ball, they're better offensively. And when they become completely stagnant and don't move the ball and go on one and try and do all this, they're a much worse offensive team. And sometimes they have the talent to overcome playing that style of basketball, but more often than not, it's going to be much worse than if they move the ball, right? And you have people out here saying, well, you want Dame shooting off the dribble and shooting off screens. That's what he's comfortable with. Bro, Dame shot so many insanely tough threes because the offense couldn't get anything else, right? I'm not going to sit here and I don't know. In regards to a guy like Dame, man, it's tough because, yes, he can hit those shots. But, bro, you look at, I don't know, the first shot he shot in the third quarter was an open kick out to him, an open catch and shoot shot. His cleanest look of the night. Knocks it down, right? It came from him swinging the ball to Gary Trent Jr.
Offensive rebound, though.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
No, well, it was something where Gary Trent Jr. caught the ball and drove middle and drew Dame's guy and kicked it back out to him. You know what I mean? Very simple play, but much better than running pick and roll, dude. The pick and roll at half court when we're getting trapped and us not having an answer for it is just absolutely ridiculous at this point. We've seen it over and over and over again. There was a possession. I should have tweeted this. I should have recorded this and tweeted this. But there was a possession with about 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter where Dame gets trapped. And then they come set another screen, and Dame gets trapped again. And then I swear they set a third screen, and Dame gets trapped again. I think he might have given up the ball, and then they don't even look to attack. Dame goes back and gets the ball and gets trapped again. It was what are we doing? We're just dancing around at half court, letting ourselves get trapped. And then he had to kick it to Rocco with 4 on the shot clock, and Rocco had the ball 30 feet away from the rim. Those types of offensive possessions are just It's baffling to me to see an NBA team do that. A professionally coached basketball team in the highest league in the world have some offensive possessions like that. And you're going to have bad offensive possessions, but it's just we don't know how to attack a trap, and we play into it. It would be one thing if we didn't know how to attack it, and we were okay, well, we're going to try and move the ball and maybe not run some pick and roll. Okay, fine, cool. But it's we don't know how to attack it, but then we invite it and run pick and roll at freaking half court and allow ourselves to get trapped at half court with no outlets not even looking to attack it. Like, there was one possession where we attacked it and got Kanter an open lane. Dame got the ball out of the trap fast. The thing is, we set the pick and roll much closer to the hoop, made it a little easier. Dame kicked it to Rocco, who hit a touch pass to Enes Kanter. That's how you attack a trap. But it's very, very rare where we actually exploit it. And it's just ridiculous at this point because we see it over and over and over again. And this is for, I'll let you touch on the trap and whatnot. I don't want to ramble too long, but I do want to make this point real quick. This is for all the people saying, oh, well, the Terry Stotts hater's quiet right now. Man, a good 9-game stretch against mediocre teams does not override what I've been saying for 5 years, what I've seen the last 5 years in regards to the coaching, right? We've had good 9-game stretches in the past. That didn't override anything. And there were still so many, issues that I have in regards to the way this team is coached that, even though we were playing well, it didn't show me necessarily that we were better at handling the trap. It wasn't like we were excelling because, we're starting to deal with the trap well and exploit it. We barely got trapped. And when we did get trapped, opposing teams weren't trapping well and were trapping with extremely slow bigs and Dame was just blowing by. You know what I mean? Tonight, we got trapped well, we got trapped hard, and we had absolutely no answer. One of my critiques that never got answered during that 9-game that 9-game streak where we won 8 games. So many issues with this team have not been answered, have not been fixed. That's why, as you said earlier, don't get fooled. Don't get fooled. It's like it's frustrating because there's still a lot of issues on this team that shouldn't be issues, and that's the biggest one because we've seen it over and over and over again.
NBA forever with the comment of the night, outcoached by Scott Brooks. Ouch. But anyways, it's not just the trap for me. There was a play where we had like 6 seconds left on the shot clock, and I think we even there was a timeout or something, and so we had time to drop a play, and they denied Dame the ball in an inbounds, and we inbounded it. I forgot if it was to Trent or Rocco or something. I think it was Rocco. And everyone just stood around like, uh-oh, Dame doesn't have the ball. What are we supposed to do? Uh-oh. It's and then, we get up having to take a bad shot, and I think that we got a shot clock violation or something because it didn't hit rim. And, it's just, there's so many examples of that this year where if Dame's getting trapped and taken out of a game, we have no clue. And that's not a player thing. That's a coaching thing that they're not... every single play should have a backup alternative in case Dame gets taken out of it. There should have been a option 2 and maybe even a third option on that play. And good coaches would actually game plan to put your players and have confidence in them to make the right plays. But because we don't empower these guys to move the ball and touch it all these times, when they do touch it in the clutch after not really touching the ball for 5 minutes, then they're like, oh crap, what do I do? I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Well, you know what proof of the statement you just made, right? And that it's not a personnel thing. The one game where, we don't have Dame, so we're going to have to, we can't rely on Dame. Guess what? Against the Philadelphia 76ers, guess what? They come out and move the ball great and have a great offensive game because of it. There's your proof. That's all the proof you need. That's proof that it's not personnel. Because if it was personnel, it wouldn't be possible for them to go out and do what they did against the 76ers without Dame and CJ and Nurkic, right? So, but here's the thing. When Dame is healthy, oftentimes they become so reliant on Dame that if a team is effectively taking him out of the game, we don't have an answer, and we don't know what to do. Because we're too reliant on Damian Lillard to create gold out of dirt for our offense. And that goes back to my point and my criticism that I've been steadfast all year on. Dame's great. When he gets hot, give him the ball. Let him make things happen. But we need to be more diverse in our offense, and we need to move the ball better, and we need to not be so reliant on Dame hitting heroic, insanely tough shots all the time.
Man, I'm so sick of Portlandia's act, man. You're a joke, dude.
Yeah,
you come in here after a loss and you're all like, oh, I guarantee we'll win next time. Don't be so negative. It's fine. But before the game, you're like, oh, I guarantee we'll beat this team. They suck, blah, blah, blah. And then after the game, you're like, oh, no, I never said that. It's a fine to lose games. They're a really good team. They've beaten all these other good teams lately. Just stop, man. either go away or show some consistency. Come in here when we lose a game like this that you thought we were going to win and say, you know what, we should have won this game tonight. And this is a problem. So don't freaking come in here and be like, oh no, it's okay when they lose, but then say like, oh, I guarantee we'll win the next one because we're good enough and we'll beat any team and we're elite. We're one of the top 5 teams in the league. Like, come on, man, you're full of crap.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, it's he's the one who champions the take that, oh, more ball movement isn't good for us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like,
you got proven wrong.
So what's your answer, Portlandia, to the first and second quarter? The first quarter, we moved the ball great, scored 43 points, had 10 assists, 0 turnovers as well. And then the second quarter, we scored 12 points because we're not moving the ball and we're getting terrible shots, and we have 5 turnovers and 0 assists. I think that in the first quarter, us moving the ball helped us.
Mm-hmm.
Helped us. I think it was better for us. But you won't have an answer to that, man. You'll just say take a chill pill. But it's obvious that better ball movement helps this team, and it's baffling that this team goes away from it. That's why I'm so frustrated, right? You know, because this team's still in a fine spot at 18-11 record-wise, right? So and you're touching on all that. You know, oh, we're still almost 4th and blah 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 blah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's still in a fine spot. But it's baffling to me how this team can see what works for it and what goes well for it, and then just unexplicably go away from it next quarter and just not try and do it. And like it's baffling to me, and it's infuriating me because it's almost just like they decide, oh well, you know, screw it, we're just gonna go one-on-one. I don't know. Like it's there's no explanation for it, right? Certain issues, you know, guys missing shots, oh yeah, that'll happen. There's an explanation for that. That isn't as infuriating to me, right? If we're getting good shots and guys are missing, okay, you know, that sucks, but we're getting good shots, right? When we just basically almost decide to just stop doing what's working for us, it's infuriating for me. Because there's no reason for it. And it causes us to lose games that we shouldn't lose. If we just consistently move the damn ball, we, like, is all it takes.
Defense being crap too.
we score 125, 130 points tonight if we just consistently move the ball. I mean, you look at it, like, even the third quarter, we had mediocre ball movement. We still scored 37 points, right? Dame got hot, you know, so that's part of it. But you look at the second and fourth quarters where we just stop moving the ball, 12 and 19 points. How does our quarter-by-quarter scoring totals go 43, 12, 37, 19? You know what I mean? And that's just the Blazers going back and forth between, you know, well, in the first quarter, they move the ball great. Second quarter, no ball movement, terrible shots, go 43-12. Third quarter, mediocre ball movement, but Dame gets hot, you know, so we score 37. And then fourth quarter, we don't move the ball, especially with the bench unit. You know, when we don't have Dame in the game, we need to move the ball. And the bench unit had no ball movement. But we've seen that this unit can actually move the ball, so it doesn't make sense why they're not. So that's why it's so infuriating for me. That's why it's so frustrating.
And, like, some people are saying this is a trap game and all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, we've won 6 in a row, so it's hard to be too hard on them when they finally lose a game. But, like, I was thinking about this before the game. Like, if we lose tonight, that's going to be the narrative, right? Like, we just won 6 in a row. What more do you want? They're bound to lose eventually, right? And so I went in this game kind of, like, I obviously wouldn't have that mindset. We should have won this game. But I was like, as long as we lose because it's, like, something that we played well, we just didn't win, you know? And then we come out on fire in the first quarter playing exactly how we want them to play. And we completely dominate them, and we will beat any team in this league if we play that way. And we've done it against the champion last year. I've already mentioned this. First quarter, again, game 1, we played this exact same way, and we absolutely dominated them in that quarter. And then the rest of the series, we pretty much laid an egg. But, like, so it's proven against the best of the best. That's the NBA champions. And we can't even, like, maintain that against the Wizards, who have a terrible defense. We just go right into their strength. Like, we just play right into letting them hold us to 111 points and only 68 points in the last 3 quarters. They weren't good. They didn't do anything defensively to stop us. We just took terrible shots and we didn't have any kind of way to get people open shots. And so, like, the fact that we lost this game because we played like that, and because this style that we just saw is the reason why we have not elevated ourselves to a better team the last couple of years. It's just it's completely frustrating because we win these games, like we're finally beating good teams or bad teams, and then like we sprinkle in a win against Philly, but like the next 4 games are kind of tough for us. Like this is going to be an interesting test to see if we're playing well or we've just been playing teams that have massive injuries and are really bad, because several of these teams have been.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Everybody focusing on, a good 9-game stretch. They're more concerned with a 9-game regular season stretch than they are with what we're going to do in the playoffs. Because here's the thing. Other than Philadelphia, the last time we beat a team that is currently above 500 was January 1st. It's February 20th. Okay, so it's not like we've been beating a bunch of good teams, right? This team's been playing well. But oftentimes they're just as talented as the team they're going against. Maybe, probably even more talented. During this 9-game stretch, we've beaten a lot of very poor teams, which is good. You got to take care of business, right? I'm not trying to downplay that, but my whole entire point is you can't be inconsistent with the style of basketball you play and have stretches like we did in the second quarter. Bro, 12 points against the Washington Wizards. Like, aren't they the worst defense in the league? Like, bottom 3, and you score 12 points in the second quarter against them because you just completely stagnate and settle for a bunch of terrible shots? Well, guess what? You do that in the postseason, they're losing in round 1, right? Like, they have to be consistent with their style of play. They have to consistently move the ball, and that's why it's frustrating. It's like, yeah, okay, they move the ball a little bit better over a 9-game stretch, and they play decent. Cool. But I want this team to contend. I want this team to make a run in the playoffs. And when it's like a game like this against a bad team. No, oh yeah, they're playing better. They're a bad team. They're what, 9-20 now? Oh, 10-17. Yay, they're 10-17 at home. We had a couple days off too. So you can't use the back-to-back excuse. Yep. They might be tired. You can't use any of those excuses, right? Against a bad team, we just randomly go away from what's working. For no reason. And we saw it last year in the playoffs against the Lakers. We could have competed in that series if we consistently moved the ball. 100%. Defensively we weren't set up to really like hold them, but we could have scored with them if we just moved the ball. Problem is we only did it for pretty much 1 quarter, and that was game 1, and we scored like 36 points. And then just the rest of the series were just hopeless offensively.
Yeah, like Trevin says, the ball movement is such an obvious and doable fix that it's stupid that we always go stagnant. And that's completely right. And that's why we get so frustrated. It's like, it's so obvious I guarantee you, anyone who's played basketball could watch this team and be like, why aren't they moving the ball? Why aren't they running a set? Why aren't they doing anything off ball to get these guys open shots? And the amount of pressure it takes for Damian Lillard to have to create an entire offense every single possession, and that's basically all we do. That's an insane amount of pressure on one player to have to do that constantly. Let's get to some of these donations. So Benedict Cumberbatch, who I think might be Nintendo, says, how about letting someone else bring the ball up? So we had like over the last 3 games, there's been 2 times where Trent brought the ball up with Dame in the game, and Dame ran like not even like a lot of off-ball movement, but he ended up getting an open 3 just because he wasn't bringing the ball up. And did we try that at all tonight? Nope. It's just so frustrating. It's like if we have Hood in the game to bring the ball up or whatever, like have him have some sort of sets or plays that he runs when he has the ball and does things, and instead of everyone just standing around. I don't get it. And then we haven't mentioned Nas, but after I get these other donos, I want to talk about.
I'll read the next 2, and then I'll let you talk about Nas. Shout out Shaggy Squid for the $10 Australian dono. He says, at this point, I would rather have Hassan. You can't say it's scheme. Name a team Kanter has played defense on. I'll wait. He's as lazy as Hassan. Won't leave the paint, but can't even guard the paint. I disagree, but I appreciate the dono. Kanter plays a lot harder.
My guy Shaggy hates Kanter.
I don't. Kanter's been playing decent
defense. We're losing games, or lost this game. With absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of it is scheme. Kanter could come out of the paint and hedge, but we don't have him do that. We just say, oh, well, he just doesn't have the capability, so we're not even going to try. But every time, occasionally, I see them try, it works, right? And I'm not talking about a soft show, right? I hate, like, we had a possession where we showed him softly against Bradley Beal 30 feet away from the rim, which is literally the worst thing you could do. The worst thing you could do 30 feet away from the rim, right? Because it's not hard enough on him. It lets Bradley Beal build up a head of steam against Kanter on the three-point line, and it's impossible for a lot of bigs to stay in front of a guard in that situation where you're soft showing 30 feet away from the rim and somebody has a head of steam. That's not a Kanter issue, right? It's like a lot of it is scheme. Tonight I think you could have brought him up to hedge, brought him up to trap, and see what that looked like. On a guy like Beal, maybe pressured them. Especially, here's the thing. Their offense was so bad in the second quarter. Why the hell not go up and trap and see if you can get a steal and get a fast break bucket? You can't get a bucket otherwise, and it's not like you're defending well. We gave up 30 points in that quarter. Instead, our scheme is to kind of drop Kanter back and keep him in the paint. So I don't think that's a Kanter thing. I think a lot of it is just the scheme. And then Joel, shout out $5 dono. You can touch on Kanter's defense after this if you want, Eric, as well as Nas. But shout out Joel, $5 dono. He says, it totally cracks me up when you guys make everyone who disagrees with you sound like their dad is also their uncle. I don't. What?
Oh, yeah. I just hate people who say one thing and is always contradicting us, always telling us we're wrong, and then the game they're proven wrong, they're in here changing what they say and contradicting themselves and not at least, because Portlandia is a guy who stays in here saying, oh, give Stotts credit for being, when we have good games, you better give him credit, all that stuff. But where's your blame for him when he has a game like this, or what's your excuse for him in this game? And that's all I'm saying is keep it consistent, and we'll give you the respect back. If you're going to be like you are and have been in this chat and this season, I don't respect that at all. So I'm sorry, but it's just how I'm going to treat you if you continue to act that way.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. Because anytime we have a point he can't argue, it's, oh, well, you know what, we're 18-11, so you guys just need to chill, right? And that's how people argue, and it's just ridiculous. He comes in here telling us we need to give him credit after a win, but then after a loss, and we have a great point that he can't argue, he just changes it, deflects it, and it's always, you guys just overreact and blah, blah, blah. It's ridiculous, man. Argue objectively and have a legitimate debate and don't be disingenuous, and we'll respect you, even if you disagree. The problem is a lot of people that do disagree with us on kind of the way this team is coached argue things so disingenuously and just, they know what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing, and he knows what he's doing. Comes in here kind of little edgy, disrespectful to some people, telling us what we should and shouldn't say, and it's just ridiculous. So shout out Shaggy Squid, $5 Australian dono. Him taking a single step forward with his hand up to stop a wide midi isn't scheme. Celtics and Knicks didn't play drop scheme. He still did the same. Yeah, I disagree with you on that. You want to touch on Kanter's defense and that debate?
Honestly, we lost this game playing small, and Rolo absolutely killed us inside. And we had possessions where Beal shot an outside shot. We have 5 guys standing in the paint, and not a single person gets the rebound, and Beal scoops in and grabs it, stuff like that. And we had, after the first quarter, I felt like our energy was terrible in this game. And we had a play where this was the first play, Rolo scores when we went to the small lineup in the first half. Second play, he spins and gets a dunk. Carmelo doesn't even contest. He ducks out of the way. You can't play small and not try to contest and rim protect. You cannot duck out of the way. That was I don't know. I don't bash Melo that much, but that was a very, very, very poor play. You cannot be an NBA player and duck out of the way and run out of bounds so you don't get dunked on, especially if you are a big man in that situation. You have to go up there and at least try to contest that shot, and that was a weak-ass move by Carmelo there. And stuff like that could possibly cost us this game, probably. We can't play that way. If you're playing small, you have to play bigger than you are, and you cannot make moves like that. And there's no defense for an NBA player literally being a baby and walking out of the way so he doesn't have to get dunked on.
Yeah, I hate that, man. Like, you're in the NBA, bro. You know, in high school, you don't want to get dunked on because it's rare, you know, and everybody's going to talk about high school. You're a professional basketball player being paid millions, and it happens all the time. If you get dunked on, you get dunked on. You know, step up and try and protect the rim. Like, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. And Melo just had a frustrating game. I can wait to touch on him. But he was extremely frustrating for me tonight.
And as for Kanter, I mean, dude, our defense sucks. Our schemes suck. Like, there's nothing. We could have, who's the best defensive center in the league? Like, we could have him in this scheme, and it wouldn't make that much of a difference when our schemes are this bad. And Stotts would coach him out of it not to trap right. Like, we could have Anthony Davis, and he would be less effective than he is on any other team because we don't do anything. Like, we wouldn't trap with him, and it would be so stupid. And we would drop him, and we would make him stand behind the pick or soft hedge and stuff like you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And it would drive me crazy because it's not personnel. Dude, this guy Kanter, I've seen him at least 10 times this year, like, hard hedge a pick and recover to his guy in time. Like, he is capable of doing it. And if he gets beat doing that, then I will be the first to sit here and say, Kanter hard hedged that perfectly, and they still got a dunk because he's not fast enough or athletic enough to get back. But this is not a case where that's happening. It's because all of our players are caught in bad positions, and the other, like, a guy like Beal's going to eat that up. Even a guy like Westbrook is going to eat that up. Like, how many times I can only remember one time tonight where we forced Westbrook to, like, shoot an outside shot versus driving into the paint and getting either a mid-range shot or, like, a dump off for a dunk. And it's just like, some games we play, and I feel like we don't have the proper scouting report for the team we're playing, and it drives me crazy. And this is what I was talking about last game, how we have this scheme and everyone's saying, oh, look, we're playing so much better defense. But it's because we're running the same scheme, and it's having to work against these defenses that are designed perfectly because they don't have someone who can exploit that defense. But when you play good offensive teams or guys who are dynamic, like, this team is a perfect example. Beal and Westbrook, they're two completely different players. So you should have a whole different game plan for when Beal has the ball in attacks and for when Westbrook has the ball in attacks. But instead, we just run the same scheme because, oh, it worked the last 6 games. Let's just run it again and see what happens. And it's not designed to stop anyone particular on their team. It's just like, oh, we'll just run this scheme. It's run working. And it doesn't always work, and it'll eventually not work. And in the playoffs, it'll get absolutely exposed, and we don't have a chance if we continue to play like that.
Yeah, and I mean, our defense has improved because we're not making as many silly, boneheaded mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and some people say, oh, well, praise Stotts, praise Stotts because guys, like, know where to be 2 passes away from the ball, you know what I mean? Like, that's basic stuff, that's so extremely basic. They're making so many basic elementary mistakes, and that was one of my biggest critiques. They've cleaned that up a lot, which they 100% should, because a lot of the mistakes they were making earlier in the season were just boneheaded, just unexplainable, So they cleaned that up. We start playing better defense, but as you said, we're not playing against teams that can really exploit the type of schemes we love to run. And as far as your point is, like, if we had AD, we're still going to drop him. Something that makes me believe that is when we've had Harry Giles in the game. He's extremely mobile. Extremely mobile for a center. Not necessarily the best rim protector or maybe the best guy to, like, have run drop scheme, but he's extremely mobile. He is like, personnel-wise, the perfect big to have trap and hedge pick and rolls. Mm-hmm. But we still drop him. We don't do that with him in the game. It's not a personnel thing as far as the schemes we run, People just want to throw out that excuse and because it's just the easy thing to do and it excuses Stotts and they don't want to be hard on him, but like I've had a problem with the schemes for years, man, and it doesn't matter who's in there. That's what they'll do. I think it's pretty obvious at this point.
And so Blockboy says, see, here's my point again. A lot of this is pure lack of player effort. Here's the thing, man. And this is where I'll segue into Nas. Nas was absolutely a factor. Plays 4 minutes. He has a possession where he lays out, saves the possession for us. Pure hustle, energy, effort. That's what we needed, right? That's what we need. That's what you're saying. We needed a lack of effort. the dude gets rewarded by being benched right after that and doesn't play again the whole freaking game. It's so stupid. I'm so mad. I'm so pissed off. He didn't even get back in the game, Tori. This is like the Gary Trent game earlier in the year where he played 6 minutes in the first half and they take him out. He doesn't freaking get back in the game. We lose to a fucking effing stupid team. Sorry.
You're getting okay. You're getting a little. I like it. I like the energy because I relate to it.
My bad. I swear. I'm sorry, guys. But it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Lack of effort from the players. Put in the players who are showing effort and bench the ones who aren't, because it was very clear if you watch this game who was not showing effort and who was making mistakes time and time again. Let the freaking young guys go in there and play. Let Ellaby play. Let Nas go and make mistakes, because at least they would lose because they were giving effort if we lost, and not because we were just walking around not who knows doing what. And it just drives me crazy. That is absolutely coaching. You can control that where you're deep enough, even with all the injuries, to prevent that. And it is disgusting to me that Nas only played in the first half of this game.
Yeah.
And maybe he got injured or something like that. Maybe something happened, but like I'm saying, it's not necessarily that Nas is the answer. It's just what did he do in the first half? He missed the three. Yeah, so what? He
had a really good drive and finish. Well, let me compare two guys here, right? That'll continue to be compared. Carmelo Anthony, you brought up, a play that pissed you off. That was a lack of effort, right? And I'm not blaming Stotts, for Carmelo not necessarily trying on that specific play. But I'm blaming Stotts for the minutes differential, right? You got Carmelo stepping out of the way, not even contesting dunk, doesn't want to potentially get dunked on, so he just doesn't even try. Meanwhile, you have Little, who only played 5 minutes tonight. 5 minutes in the first half, didn't play in the second half. Had the hustle play of the game. Saved a possession. Hustle play of the game. Just laid out. I don't even know how he got to that ball. Just pure hustle, right? And then you look at things offensively. Nassir Little 1 for 2, had a really good drive and finish, and has been shooting the ball decently. Missed his last couple of threes, but overall in the season, limited sample size, been shooting the ball decently. Carmelo Anthony 2 for 10, 2 for 6 from the 3-point line. Carmelo Anthony did not have it offensively or defensively tonight. He got 4 steals.
His first 2 threes too.
Yeah, he got 4 steals. He had a couple good moments, but for the most part was pretty lazy defensively, if I may say so, despite the 4 steals. Nassir Little brings it every possession, right? And I'm not saying you bench Melo for Little, but if effort is the issue, why is Carmelo playing 25 minutes tonight and Nas is playing 5? Because Carmelo wasn't giving you the offense to maybe justify that, to maybe cancel out, the differential in effort, right? Rodney Hood kind of struggling, plays 17 minutes, Nas plays 5. Gary Trent Jr., I thought, didn't really hustle today. And his hustle and his, he's not playing as hard as he did in the bubble. And I kind of have an issue with that. But maybe it's because he's playing so many minutes. Tonight, Gary Trent Jr. plays 39 minutes. 39 minutes. Nas plays 5.
Hood too.
Yeah, and I pointed out Hood. 17 minutes for Hood. The one guy you have on your bench that will play his ass off plays 5 minutes and gets benched in the second half. And then people want to say, well, Stotts is responsible for the effort. Doesn't make sense, and it pisses me off too, the fact that he didn't play in the second half, man. Because he's the one guy on this team, him and maybe CJ Ellaby, because CJ Ellaby plays hard, but rookies generally play their ass off when they get in the game.
Well, I mean, we've heard Stotts say this a couple weeks ago. A guy like Melo, he was specifically asked, and he specifically answered the question. No, Melo has earned playing time no matter what he does on the court. And I'm not just trying to pick on Melo here, but those kind of comments are the reason why we see something like tonight, because it's ingrained in these coaches that Melo's a veteran, he deserves to play the certain amount of time and get this certain spot or whatever. It's I don't understand. I don't get it. Reward the guys who are hustling and giving effort. And like I said, if you lose because of that, I can live with that. I can totally live with that. It's fine. Like, if we would have lost because Nas made some mistakes or whatever, but he was like trying his best. That's why I don't ever really get hard on Giles either, even though he hasn't been great in his opportunities so far this year. It's because, like, at least he's given effort while he's out there and he's trying hard. You know, it's like, it just drives me crazy that you would reward the guys who are showing a lack of effort at times and not reward the guys who constantly come in and bring energy when they come in the game. It's just that's just baffling to me, and it's an easy way to fix that and get the guys who are inconsistently showing effort to show effort more consistently, is to decrease their playing time when they're not giving effort and give it to the people who are, and they'll very quickly either adjust and adapt, or they will find themselves getting less and less minutes all the time. It's that easy, it's that simple, and that's coaching to me.
Yeah, 100%. And Block Boy, can't get past the fact that I compared Nas to the almighty Melo. I compared Nas to Melo, I brought up Hood, I brought up Trent. Three guys that you could have maybe taken a few minutes from, and you could have played Nas 20 minutes a game, and he could set the tone from an energy standpoint. Because, bro, you see Nas laying out on the floor like that, you're going to play a little bit harder as his teammate. Right? You see one guy busting his ass, you don't want to next possession just completely fall asleep, Yeah, as a teammate, you see your teammate do that, you get hyped because that's an effort play. And that inspires you to play harder. Right? Like, that's a thing. That's a thing I've experienced with my own playing experience. I see a teammate lay out for the ball, save a possession, right? Next chance I get, I'm doing the same. It sets the tone for the effort that everybody should bring. And instead, that guy only plays 5 minutes, and overall, I'm not even necessarily blaming effort all that much, but it seemed like the effort was a little lackadaisical from pretty much everybody, except for Nas, and he only plays 5 minutes. So the people that say Stas has nothing to do with the effort that's given, I disagree with that. He can play guys more minutes if they're playing hard, and that can help set the tone and motivate more effort from everybody. Shout out Benedict Cumberbatch for the $2 dono. Did Terrence scold Marshmello for ducking out? Nope. But if Nurkic ducks out, Nurkic is getting screamed at. I don't like that double standard. Mm-hmm. And then shout out to Shaggy Squid, $5 Australian dollar dono. He says, everybody's content that we are 18-11, but we have one of the hardest second halves of the season, and Melo has the worst IQ on shot selection. I mean, it would be different if we were 18-11, beating a bunch of good teams, right? And we had an easy schedule coming up. But we beat a bunch of bad teams. Like I said, the last time we beat a team that's above 500 other than Philadelphia, January 1st against Golden State. We only have 4 wins. 14 of our 18 wins are against sub-500 teams. Okay? We have multiple losses against sub-500 teams. We have had one of the easiest schedules in the league, and that's going to get harder. And if we keep doing this, it's going to be hard to stay 7 games above 500. Even with CJ and Nurkic back, we do this and it won't matter, because we've seen with CJ and Nurkic, if we have stretches for a whole quarter, we don't move the ball and don't get good shots, we can lose against bad teams even with those guys, right? It's so style of play is so responsible for how this team performs. That's why when we missed Dame against Philadelphia and had, played one of the best styles of basketball we've played in any game all year, we won and we blew out the Sixers. Right? People focus too much on the personnel that's in the game and not enough on the style of play and the type of basketball the team is playing. And the coaching is very responsible for the style of basketball the team plays. Definitely responsible for the style of basketball the team plays. But people would rather hate on Olshey because he's, the car salesman and Stotts is the nice old guy. So, if they can blame Olshey over Stotts, a lot of people will do it. Instead of looking at things objectively.
People are saying the post-game interview was posted. I don't even know if I want to watch.
Let's watch it. Let's watch
it, yeah.
I'm not making player graphics. We can touch on individual players. We can kind of just bounce around. It's going to be a little bit more like... I like his picture in the thumbnail. But we'll watch Terry's thoughts.
Yeah, but Blazers set a franchise record tonight with 53 attempts from 3 as well.
That was the most threes they've ever shot in a game?
Yep.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So many of those threes were bad 3-point attempts, too. Like, I know we shoot a lot of threes. I know the NBA is trending that way, but, like, we would here. Okay, let me just make this critique right before we watch this, bro. Why, when we are cold from three and we might not be getting the best 3-point looks, or even if we are getting the best 3-point looks, why is it, oh, well, we're just missing shots? Why isn't it, okay, well, we're not knocking down threes, let's run something to maybe get a shot around the damn rim? Right? Like, what we got Derrick Jones Jr., okay? One of the most athletic guys in the league, one of the best cutters in the league, and we stick him in the quarter and he spots up and shoots threes even though he's shooting 26%, and it's not his strength. More than half of Derrick Jones Jr.'s shots tonight, Eric, were from behind the 3-point line, and he shot 2 for 5, 40%. Okay, it's good in this game, but that type of trend is why we weren't high on his fit here,
And I didn't see one design play for him to cut to the basket. There was one play where Kanter got the ball in the middle and he cut, but Kanter scored anyway. Other than that, he crashed the boards a few times. But yeah, not one design play to get one of the best rim runners slash lob threats in the league an easy 2 or anything like that. So yeah, great coaching stats.
Yeah, it's just like, but you have all these stats apologists that'll say, oh, well, we just missed our threes, man. We knocked down more of our threes, we win. Like, in a vacuum, yes, we make 3 more threes, we win by 2. We score 120. But bro, when we're not making threes, why can't we adapt? And that's my whole thing with stats. That's like the biggest issue with me is this lack of adaptability, adjustability, right? Because I guarantee you, in this post-game conference, it's going to be like, man, we just had stretches where we couldn't buy a 3. Bro, well, when you can't buy a 3, let's try and get shots on the inside since the threes aren't falling and we're cold from there. That's just common sense to me. It's baffling. Like, if I'm out here playing a basketball game and my 3-point shot isn't falling, I miss a couple, doesn't necessarily feel the best. Guess what? I'm attacking. I'm trying to get inside, get to the free throw line. Maybe see a couple shots going into the free throw line. Maybe that, oftentimes that can build you a little bit of a rhythm and will help you knock down your next 3-point look, right? Or attack the rim. Get lanes. Maybe you get a Bradley Beal in foul trouble because you're driving against him. Or, he's having to defend off the ball and fight through screens and that type of thing. But no, it's just settle for 3 after 3 after 3 and then say, well, nothing we can do. We just can't make threes. It's baffling to me. The logic is just so ridiculous to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got the interview ready if you want to watch it right now.
Yep.
I know you.
Sam, it's an older Blazer shirt from the Roy era. That was their motto.
Yep.
But we could change it to Uprise with us.
Uprise with us. Well, yeah, it was like the first year I really got into the Blazers was the year they had the Rip City Uprise theme. That's what gave me the idea for the name.
Cool.
But also we're an uprising in media because you know how we feel about the media. Let's watch this interview.
All right.
Disparity in scoring, quarter by quarter, the second quarter and fourth quarter particularly. What do you think was going on in those 2 quarters?
This is a crazy box score. I mean, We shot 16% in the second quarter. We shot 25% in the fourth quarter. Scored 80 points in the first and third quarters combined. I don't know if it's been done where a team makes 13 more threes and loses the game. It's just it's very interesting. But I can't really say. Some of it, I thought we missed some good looks. We didn't. They were able to come back with that. I think our misses and some we were a little bit loose with the ball in the second quarter, and gave them some extra opportunities that they converted on. It's didn't get to the free throw line as much as we probably could have, but
that's what happens when you shoot 53 threes in a game, bruh.
I don't know. 103 shot attempts. It was a different kind of game, that's for sure.
When have you ever heard Terry Stotts say we weren't getting good looks? Have you ever heard that, Eric? Or chat, has anybody ever heard this man say we didn't get good shots off, we weren't able to get good looks, so that's why we missed a lot? No matter what types of shots, bro, we could shoot every shot from half court, right? Mm-hmm. And Terry, you shot 16%, this quarter. It seemed like you were shooting a lot of deep threes, and it'd be the same answer. It'd be
as we probably could have.
It'd be, we got good shots.
Didn't get to the free throw line as much.
This is what I've said. It's always someone else's fault. Like, this guy doesn't ever say, like, I need to do a better job of locking these guys in when we have stretches like in the second quarter where we don't score for several minutes. Like, I need to figure something out to do that. It's always like, oh, well, my sets were absolutely perfect. I don't know. I mean, they just missed threes. What am I supposed to do? Like, I mean, I get him a wide open three every time. I can't make the shot for him. You know, like, you can't blame me because I'm an offensive genius. So.
Oh my God.
Just ridiculous. Like, freaking have some accountability, dude. And that's why he doesn't hold his players accountable, because he doesn't freaking hold himself accountable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, what would it take for him to say, yeah, we didn't get good shots, we didn't have a good shot selection, or we forced some tough looks, or just something along those lines? What would it take? Like, because during the second quarter and the fourth quarter, we got horrible shots. For him to say, well, we got some good looks is just baffling to me. Those two quarters were up there for the worst quarters this season in regards to the types of shots we were shooting. So for him to still say, well, we just got good looks and we missed, is just absolutely ridiculous and untruthful and honestly pathetic that he'd say that.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Benedict Cumberbatch, another $2 dono. He says, who's running the organization at this point? Good question. Yeah, I don't know, man. Damian Lillard. Let's watch. Let's keep watching and see what other nuggets Terry Stotts has for us.
Sure.
Next question is coming from Dwight James with NBC Sports Northwest.
Quick shout out, Kyle Wilson, $2 dono. He says, we didn't make our threes, then stop shooting them. Exactly my point. But, you know, I would love to hear that as a question in this press conference, but probably won't happen.
Terry, I think they outscored you by 20 points in the paint. And this is not actually a big-time inside scoring team, I wouldn't think, but they got a lot of layups in the game. Why did that happen?
Well, that's their strength. I mean, they're not a three-point shooting team per se, but Russell Westbrook gets into the lane. Some of it was transition. Bradley Beal gets into the lane. We played undersized a little bit. Robin Lopez had an impact on the game. Obviously, he's a paint player. So there's a
Reese, I know you're a stats man. Can you look up and see what the Wizards rank in terms of points in the paint? Because Dwight just said they're not really a team that scores a lot in the paint, and then Terry Stotts said they were. So I'm curious. I know you got the stats on lock, or if somebody could look that up, where they rank in terms of points in the paint in the league. I'm curious.
I gotcha.
You got me. Let's see if you can beat Reese.
It is. They are 18th.
Yep. Another lie from Terry Stotts. That is not their strength. They're 18th in the league in points in the paint. Below average.
Team per se, but Russell Westbrook gets into. Well, that's their strength. I mean, they're not.
BS. More BS from this. And maybe that points to your whole thing where, like, they come into some games with a broken game plan. And the game plan isn't right. Because he should know going into this game, oh, well, they're the 18th in terms of points in the paint, right? So they score, 20 more points than us in the paint. I don't know if that was necessarily them. I don't know how much they scored in the paint. I think it was more us because we just relied on threes and didn't really attack the rim. I think that was more of a product of us than them. But for him to sit here and say they're a good team at scoring in the paint is just, it's false. It's false. It's frustrating. Come on.
I mean, how do you... even Portlandia can't defend this, right? Like, what is your explanation for that, Portlandia? Do you have one?
At least he said that's bad. That I'll take it. Progress. Yeah, so yeah. Bruh. And then you got Block Boys becoming a Stas of Polish. He literally just said
they got a lot of layups in the game. Why did that happen?
Listen.
Well, that's their strength. I mean,
their strength is getting layups, points in the paint. That's their strength.
Not a three-point shooting team per se, but
and then he says they're not a three-point shooting team per se. What are you on about, Block Boy? Shout out Cumberbatch for another $2 dono. Terrence obviously a fraud. He goes on to say they're not a good 3-point shooting team per se, not a good points in the paint team. He said they were a good points in the paint team. I think you need to listen because you're not listening correctly, Block Boy. Come on now. I'll replay this for you.
Well,
and then we'll move on.
That's their strength. I mean, they're not a three-point shooting team per se, but Russell Westbrook gets into the lane. Some of it was transition. Bradley Beal gets into the lane. We played undersized a little bit. Robin Lopez had an impact on the game. Obviously, he's a paint player. So there's a variety of reasons why they scored in the paint.
Yep, never said anything. Yeah, all he said was they're good at scoring in the paint. They're not a good 3-point shooting team per se, and they got a lot of guys that score well in the paint. But they're 18th in terms of paints in the point. So.
I got another one for you.
What?
Guess the Wizards rank in fast break points per game.
What? Down.
Guess.
I have no idea. I don't know if they're good or bad.
They're 27th.
Are they 27th? Do you think he says they're a good fast break team later in this interview? I figured they'd be a good fast break team.
He said something about they get off on the fast break a lot and stuff.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, that was part of his answer. If you want to listen to it again.
Oh my goodness, bruh.
That's their strength. I mean, they're not a three-point three-point shooting team per se, but Russell Westbrook gets into the lane. Some of it was transition. Bradley Beal gets into the lane. We played undersized a little bit. Robin Lopez had an impact on the game. Obviously, he's a paint player. So there's a variety of reasons why they scored in the paint.
But give us reasons. His only reason why they scored in the paint is they're a good paints in the point team when they rank 18th and they got out in transition when they are a bad transition team. Okay, Stotts. Let's just move on from that. My goodness.
Next question is coming from Jamie Hudson with NBC Sports Northwest.
And so with that, Coach, I mean, it probably goes without saying, but how much does not having a true backup center and then obviously not having Nurk in that rim protector role affect this game, impact it?
Well, I'm not going to talk about things that we don't have. You know, when we get Nurk back. And
thank you, though, because everybody who defends you, that's all they talk about. So, one thing I like from Stotts is he's not going to talk about things they don't have. Because everybody who defends him does, so. Shout out Kyle Wilson, another $2 donor. He says Stotts is a better politician than Coach. Man, Stotts should be a politician, honestly. Might be better at that.
Rim protector role affect this game, impact it.
Sorry if I'm pausing too much.
I'm not going to talk about things that we don't have. When we get Nurk back and all that. I mean, I thought we competed well. Rocco took the challenge guarding Lopez, and we are who we are right now. And so, it's you make do and try and compete. But if you look at our defense, they scored 30 points every quarter basically, and we were just a little bit of a roller coaster on offense.
Next question.
I'm still waiting for him to say one problem with the way we played tonight.
In games like this where the offense is a roller coaster, what are you communicating to the team as that goes on to try and stop that roller coaster or get it to consistently swing more in your direction?
Trust each other. Don't try and do it all by themselves. Create opportunities for each other. Play a little bit harder on defense, so maybe you get some opportunities in transition and flow. Ironically, obviously, when you don't make shots, you don't get assists. But we had 10 assists in the first quarter and no assists in the second quarter. So you got to trust each other, create shots for each other, and fight through it. You're going to have lulls like that on offense, and so the trust is probably the most important thing.
I mean, that's kind of a beat around the bush answer of what we said. It's funny how he'll say, communicate, they need to trust each other, and then brings up he basically just kind of slightly implied they didn't trust each other there in the second quarter, but he won't come out and say, we didn't move the ball well in the second quarter and we didn't get good shots because of it. You know what I mean? Instead, it's we got good shots, and then when the team struggles, I tell them that they should trust each other. And, we 10 assists in the first quarter, 0 in the second, they just, I just tell them they got to trust each other, but we got good shots. That's his whole explanation. It just doesn't make sense to me.
he does know he can control what kind of shots they're getting and if they pass the ball in offense, right?
Yeah, it's like we'll go stagnant for like 2-3 possessions. Call a damn timeout. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to preach to them, and then they're not doing that, multiple possessions in a row, call a timeout. Instead, we'll see like 12 possessions in a row before he calls a timeout or does anything. And I'll look at him on the sideline after those possessions, and he's not saying anything, and he just kind of like puts his head down a little bit, hands in his pockets, and doesn't say anything. It's like, this interview is just everything.
Wait, yeah, but I don't get it. If we got good shots, why do we need to trust each other? What if we're getting good shots? That doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, we need to trust each other more, but we got good shots, like, so. Yeah, it's a contradiction in a way.
And then Black Boy says they competed well, but we could have played harder on defense. That stuff contradicts itself too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Let's. We got 2 minutes left. Do you think you can make it, Eric? I don't know if I can. Okay, we'll try.
So how was that communicated? Or is that just understood at this point that that's how you have to get through games like this?
Well, that's what I communicated to them.
Thank you.
All right.
Another question coming from Dwight James at NBC Sports Northwest.
Gary, this seemed like one of those rare nights where you had trouble finding a good, solid, consistent secondary scorer behind Dame. Most of your guys that you usually depend on did not have good shooting nights. Is that where you miss a guy like Nurk, where you can go inside to the post and get buckets from him in there?
Well, again, I don't want to look. We miss Nurk and we miss CJ. I'm not going to belabor that.
Okay, hold up, bruh, Dwight. I'm disappointed. You miss a guy like Nurk, somebody you can throw the ball in and you points, in the post. Enes Kanter's a better post-up player than Nurkic, right? Like, that's like the one thing Kanter probably has over Nurkic, maybe rebounding a little bit, but like, you got Enes Kanter, so like, I don't get that question. I'll replay the question. Shout out Cumberbatch, another $2 dono. He says, why Dame vouches for this clown is beyond me. Dame's loyal to his guys. I understand why he does. He's a loyal guy. But, yeah, like, I don't understand that question from Dwight, man.
That where you miss a guy like Nurk, where you can go inside to the post and get buckets from him in there?
Well, again, I don't want to look. We miss Nurk and we miss CJ. I'm not going to belabor that, and that's obvious. But I'm not going to use that. Certainly, they would help if we had them, but we don't. So, to be honest, we've been doing a really good job of scoring the ball, as we said, in the first and third quarter, and throughout the win streak, we've maintained a high level on our offense. So I think it's just something that happens from time to time. But so
what happened exactly?
First part of your
though?
question, yeah, it'd be nice to have Nurk and it'd
Just
be nice to have
myself.
CJ, but we don't.
Our last question coming from AJ McCord.
So, Coach, how much with going right, I'm assuming tomorrow you guys head to Phoenix, so how quickly do you just put this behind you and say, hey, this is an anomaly, not normal for everyone to have these off shooting nights, or do you address certain aspects of this to ensure it doesn't happen again?
Well, we'll watch the film and look at the quality of our shots and what we can do better. We do that at win or lose. We look at how we can improve what we didn't do as well as we need to, and I think the thing I'll be looking at or will be looking at is the quality of our shots in the second.
Wait, but you said we got good shots. Mm-hmm. So, okay, he's kind of... I would have loved to just been like, okay, what do you think of your shot quality this game? Because if he has to watch film to, like, have an opinion on their quality of shots, then he must be just completely absent while the game is going on. You know what I mean? Like, how do you not know your shot quality right after the game in which you just coached? I don't understand why you need to watch film to know the shot quality. Like, but it's like, you already said we had good shots, so, it's just another contradiction for me. I don't get it. I'll play the rest of this answer, and then you can touch on that. There's only 10 seconds left.
Is the quality of our shots in the second and fourth quarter. If there were shots that we like, then we live with it and we move on.
What? What? Eric?
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. I'm disappointed no one asked him about Nas. Where's Jason Quick? Dwight should have been asking him about why Barry Treasure didn't get a chance in this game. Yeah, a little disappointed about that, but
oh boy, just oh boy, man. Yeah, I mean, yikes. Just oof. I don't know. Like, this is bad, man. I'm kind of speechless. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like trying to figure out what to say right now, guys. Eric's speechless. I'm trying to fill the airways. You don't want, us to just sit here silently for like a good 30 seconds, but I literally don't even know what to say to that. I'm lost. I'm just, I don't know.
mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
Anyway.
So Portland, or I'm sorry, I'm calling him Ducklandia because he won't. He's ducking all our questions, or responsibility for his comments previously. But he says he's not going to answer because we're already mad at him. He doesn't want to upset us anymore.
I just want you to be truly objective because you're really not, Portlandia. That's just the only problem I have. And I feel like you can be disingenuous and just try and find ways to defend him no matter what. And it's just like, I feel like a lot of people are biased for him because they view him as a nice guy, right? And they just look at things on paper and like kind of, put down our rosters, but then our rosters do better than they expect, So then they just automatically think he's good, but it's not really based on what happens on the floor, what goes on. And I feel like a lot of Stoss defenders underrate what Dame does for this team. Like, Dame carries this damn team, man. Dame is one of the most underrated players. Like, he's a consensus top 10 player, but like his impact is up there with pretty much anybody, at least during the regular season. The problem is we get so dependent on what he brings us. He brings us so much, and then he gets trapped in the playoffs, and we struggle because of it. And our offense regresses in the playoffs, and because we don't have an answer for it. But like Dame is, you got Damian Lillard. You still have some talented players on this team. This is still a really good roster. I just feel like too many people are too biased for Stotts and biased against Olshey. It's like Olshey gets more of the blame when guys get injured, when his responsibility is just to build the roster. Like, injury, how do you excuse Stotts for having injuries and not the GM? Like, the GM doesn't have any. The only thing he has control of is the players he provides. So when the players he provides and aren't available, like, how is that Olshey's fault? I don't understand that. Olshey did a great job this offseason. I don't know. I kind of raged at the Derrick Jones Jr. thing, and honestly, like when Derrick Jones Jr. was signed, because people have randomly brought this up, I thought he was a bad defender, so I was wrong. I don't have perfect knowledge on every player in the NBA.
What?
I know a lot. I could have told you. Yeah, he went to UNLV and wasn't drafted and started off his career in Phoenix as an undrafted player. Then went to I could tell you a lot about him. His height. I'm pretty well versed when it comes to players. I thought he was a terrible defender. That's why I raged so hard. But like his offensive fit thing and us just kind of parking him in the corner. I mean, you look at tonight, like 5 of his 9 shots were threes. I mean, that's what I was worried of. We're not going to have sets that utilize him as a cutter or that get him lobs. Like, and you see this tonight, it's like, this is exactly what I was talking about. So.
And you see, so what do we hear all like from the people who think it's not Stott's fault, right? Well, you can't coach defense when you have an undersized backcourt, right? Mm-hmm. Dame and CJ can't do it. But right now, we have Trent, we have Rocco, we have Derrick Jones Jr., all like really good defenders, and or like in theory, if they were coached right, should be in a great scheme that allowed them to be good defenders. There's no excuse for our lapses on defense and all that kind of stuff, and it's just it's crazy to me that we bring in this defensive personnel. We brought in 2 wings to play specifically for defense, and we still suck on defense. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. And there's been a lot of talk about how Coach Budenholzer is now like a bad coach or whatever, and people bring up that that's someone that in the past you and I had both liked, right? And I feel the same way I feel about him with Stotts. They had a great system. It worked well. It doesn't work for 5-6 years. It just doesn't. Like, you can't just run the same schemes and think that they're going to work time and time again and against every single team. It doesn't. You have to constantly be adapting and growing and changing with the way that the NBA is and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many more examples you need that the drop scheme doesn't work against certain teams, and that like lack of ball movement and stagnant offense doesn't work when the pressure ramps up. It's proven, and I until these coaches get it out of their head, I don't feel like they're ever going to change. Like Coach Budenholzer and Coach Stotts, I feel like they think like tonight wasn't a lack of game plan or anything. It was just that they didn't make shots, and if they executed their system properly, it would have been, we would win every time, right? But that's not how you win in the NBA anymore. Those times have long been past, and that's what made someone like Popovich such a great coach. He had like a slow down, grinded out type offense. It was super boring, and then as the game got quicker and moved to 3-pointers, he adjusted his offense, and it's more 3-point oriented and fast break oriented and all this kind of stuff. And yes, coaches can have bad years like what's going on in Miami right now. I don't watch every game, so I can't like pinpoint exact things coaching wise that Spoelstra's doing wrong. But like, given his track record for all the years up to this point, I'm going to give him a pass. Just like Pop last year, people were saying, well, he couldn't even make the playoffs. Well, he had probably the worst roster in the West last year. So like what he did with that roster, I thought was pretty good.
Bro, you look at them this year, yeah. They're right now they're a game behind us. And Aldridge has been bad and hurt. They're a game behind us when their lineup is basically like DeMar DeRozan, Keldon Johnson, Rudy Gay, Patty Mills. Like, it's Jakob Poeltl. It's garbage. Lonnie Walker. You know, they're a game behind us. Like, and I hate people that just try and get one over on people who are critical of Stotts. Like, well, look at Miami, you know, I thought Spoelstra was this great coach, but they're 13-17. Like, bro, it's so like casual on the surface, like obviously just trying to like get a point over on somebody, where it's like, bro, you have to watch the teams to know what the actual issues are, because there could be issues there in Miami. One, they've missed Jimmy Butler for a lot of games. Like, if we miss Dame for a lot of games, I wouldn't expect us to be 18-11. You know, There's different teams have different issues. Some teams have coaching issues. Some teams struggle for different reasons. So for people to just say, oh yeah, if you have a under 500 record, you automatically have a bad coach, and if you're over 500, you automatically have a good coach, it's just absolutely ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous. But I will say this too on the Budenholzer thing. I have soured on him. I am not on board with Budenholzer anymore. I feel like, he got a little bit overrated. And now people are starting to realize what he truly is. Kind of the same thing with Stotts, in my opinion. But Dame does such a great job of masking Stotts, and Stotts can just rely on him to do everything offensively. It's it's I don't know. Maybe without Dame, maybe Stotts would be a better coach. You look at the way they played against Philadelphia. If he was forced to like do more than just roll the ball out there and have Dame create everything. And if we have such a great offense, it's almost like, okay, well, we'll just outscore teams. We don't have to really worry about defense. That's kind of the feeling I get at times about this team. Like, I don't know.
What's funny, though? The people who bring up, like, Miami's record this year are the same people that give Stotts a lifetime pass because he made the Western Conference Finals. And it's like, it's so stupid because, like, Spoelstra took the Heat to the finals last year, so why doesn't he get that same lifetime pass?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and
so why could you ever criticize anything he did because he got to the Eastern Conference Finals and then to the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals? Mm-hmm. He actually has a couple titles too, which I don't know how legit those are, but anyway, that's another conversation.
Isaac, stop trolling, bro.
It's just funny how like they'll bring those coaches' records up this year, but their whole reason for being fine with Stotts is like exactly they actually have more of a track record than Stotts does, and they make one run in the playoffs with Stotts like greater than anything that other coaches have achieved. Like, I mean, Pop has 5 titles, so.
Yeah, I mean, that Miami team, I wouldn't say they were a better roster than our Western Conference Finals team. I mean, they had Jimmy Butler, we had Damian Lillard, they had Bam Adebayo, we had CJ McCollum, they had Tyler Hero, we had Rodney Hood balling out, you know, they had Duncan Robinson, we had Seth Curry, you know, I don't know, like, overall, I don't think their roster was better than ours. They made the finals, so how are, you know, people saying Stotts brought a you know, that roster to the Western Conference Finals? How you gonna sit there and criticize Pop with 5 championships and Spo, who took a similar roster to the NBA Finals? It's just, they contradict themselves like crazy, man. It's actually insane. Mm-hmm. But and that, here's the thing: their arguments don't make any sense. They don't. A lot of times they don't even try and make them make sense. You know, they're just scratched and clawing for a way to just try and get one over on the people who don't like Stotts, or get one, you know, over on. It's like everything we say, all our criticisms follow a logical train of thought, in my opinion. A logical train of thought. And we can have an answer for anybody. We'll have an answer to any question that questions our criticism. You know, any question on our criticism, we will have a legitimate answer for. And that's what, I don't know. And you can't say that, you can't say the same thing about the people that defend Stotts. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyway, frustrating that they lost this game. Would have been nice to... Because here's the thing. Their schedule is going to get harder. Let's just look ahead at their schedule. They're now in 5th place, a game behind Phoenix. It's... you got Phoenix, Denver, and Los Angeles. I'm hoping they can win 2 of these 3, but if they play, you know, as inconsistent as they did tonight, they could go 0-3. You know, you lost to the Wizards at home the next 3 games. Harder than that. We only have 6 games left in the first half. I'm hoping we can go maybe 4-2. I don't know. Go into the break 22-13. Like, record-wise, that's solid. It's just like this game is a letdown, you know, considering how well we were playing, and then we should have won this game if we just consistently tried to do the things that were working, you know. But you got Phoenix. Okay, 3-game road trip, 3-game homestand to end the first half of the schedule. Road trip. You got Phoenix, Denver, Los Angeles. Three playoff teams there. Okay. All those games are extremely important. All those games are against teams that we could potentially be battling with in the playoffs. You wouldn't necessarily think so about the Lakers, but they lost tonight. They're without AD. They're without Schroeder. They shouldn't have Schroeder for that game, because I think Schroeder's going to miss the next 3 games.
Been rolled out the next 3 games,
Yep. So they won't have Schroeder. They won't have AD. And without AD, they're not that good of a team. There's a chance that, you know, missing AD for this long stretch, that we could be competing with them for seeding at the end of the year, if we play the right brand of basketball, right? Phoenix, right there with us. Denver, a little bit behind us. So all 3 of these games are extremely important. We haven't really had games like this. The only game we've had against a team that might be competing against us for playoff positioning in the past, month, is Dallas. Because everything else, a lot of Eastern Conference teams and a lot of Western Conference lottery teams. So this is extremely important, this road trip. And then you come home, we got Charlotte, Golden State, Sacramento to end the first half of the schedule. And then our schedule will get extremely tough in the second half. So gotta end strong here.
Yep. And Isaac, you didn't get banned. You got put in timeout.
There's a difference, bro.
Come on.
For trolling, man. Get your trolling out of here, bro. Also, if we put somebody in timeout and it's questionable, just know it might be because we actually like talk to the person in person and know them. So that's the case with Isaac. Isaac is out here trolling, man. Isaac is trying to impersonate Westbrook, man. Has Westbrook even been in here? I haven't really been looking at chat at all.
Yeah, he hasn't commented much until recently.
He's trying to fill the void. But I wanna look at strength of schedule. Remaining strength, that doesn't really work. Because it's only,
Yeah, they haven't announced the second part yet.
NBA Team strength of schedule. Let me Google that because I'm curious where we rank. We've currently had the 24th hardest strength of schedule. So the 7th easiest strength of schedule so far, right? The thing is, the East is a lot worse than the West. In terms of Western Conference teams, we have had the 3rd easiest schedule. In the second half, that's going to reverse. We're going to have the 3rd hardest. So we got to be ready. We got to be prepared. We got to be playing our best basketball. And we got to continue to try and become more consistent. We had a good 9-game run, but it's like this team then relapses, you know, and I still am not going to read too much into that 9-game stretch because it wasn't like we were doing it against Phoenix or Denver or lost the LA Clippers, you know, teams that could really exploit our schemes. Good teams that, you know, we couldn't get away with, you know, playing like we did against the Pelicans and winning because of Dame's heroics. You know, it's gonna be tough. You know, this team, too many people acted like this team had everything figured out just because they had a good 9-game stretch in which they won 8 games against a bunch of bottom feeders in Philadelphia a couple times, right? The Philadelphia ones are good, but this team doesn't have everything figured out. This team still has a long ways to go.
Games like this will prepare us for the playoffs, according to. I can't even. Oh, that's such a horrible take, man.
What?
That's such a horrible take.
How
does playing like crap against Wizards halfway through the season, or less than halfway through the season, prepare us for the playoffs?
I don't know.
We're just gonna magically do something different that we haven't done for 5 years under the Dame and CJ era, because we lost this game to the Wizards.
Yes, that game back in February against the Washington Wizards is gonna change it all, man. Yeah, I mean, just look at Stotts in that post-game conference. You could tell he knew that the team, you know, probably didn't play the best style basketball and didn't get the best shots, right? You know, you could tell that he realized that he could help the team get better shots and they didn't get good shots tonight, right? You could tell he had an epiphany. You know, that post-game press conference from Terry Stotts was unlike anything I've ever seen before. Congrats, Isaac. Yeah, I saw Nurkic retweeted you, but you fanboyed a little bit after that. You just gotta play it off like, yeah, of course Nurkic retweeted me. But I'm glad your life is made now.
Yeah, so he's saying we took that out of context, but I'm scrolling up like through hundreds of posts, and I don't see any other comment that would have made that contextualized for me. So, sorry.
Yeah. Maybe he's referring to something else preparing us for the playoffs, but I don't see him say anything else, so I don't know.
I was saying the second half.
I mean, us not responding well against the trap happens all the time, and it doesn't help us, and it doesn't change in the playoffs. You know, us.
Trevin's right. It helps us prepare that we know what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've seen it year in, year out, and it hasn't prepared us to do any better. Like, we haven't improved against us, so nothing will prepare us to do any better. It just has to be something that Stotts figures out, but I don't think he'll ever figure out. Too hard for him to figure it out. Yeah, anyway. Let's just wrap up this stream, if you want. Is there anything else you want to touch on? We didn't really get into individual players, but I felt like tonight wasn't really a game to focus on individuals for. It was more just the way this team played in contrast to, I don't know, the narrative that's been going on the 9 games before it.
No one really played well.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Melo struggled. Anthony struggled shooting the ball. Nas didn't play enough. Rodney didn't hit a shot. Dame, 35 points, 12 assists, but 10 for 30. 7 for 17 from the three-point line, but 10 for 30. He was 3 for 13 inside the arc. I will say this about Dame, bro. People were like, oh, he's getting fine shots, he's just missing. Bro, so many of his lands came like trapped under the rim, him having to contort his body in wild ways in order to get lands off because he was driving against a defense that was collapsing hard on him. Those weren't good shots either. Like, I'm not talking about the one where he's like running towards the rim and like reaches his arm out to finish past the defender. Not those. I'm talking about the ones where he drives underneath, jumps, is like underneath the backboard, has somebody hovering over him, and he's trying to like reach his arm kind of behind that defender's arm and like spin the ball off the glass type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you agree with that, Eric? Like, the types of lay-ins he got tonight were extremely difficult, but it wasn't necessarily his fault because like the offense wasn't generating anything better in itself.
Yeah, like I said, it's tough when you're Dame and knowing that the only way to get someone open is by you like physically doing it.
Yeah.
It's not because they're coming off a pick and getting open or cutting to the basket and you find them for a lay-in or whatever, a dunk. It's strictly like I either have to score or draw enough defensive attention to get someone an open shot. And yes, that can work for a while. And yes, Dame is superhuman and most games can help propel us to victory playing that way, but to ask that guy to do that every single game for 82 games, when it's proven that we can play a different style and be just as successful, if not more successful, and he could get cleaner baskets and maybe even improve his efficiency that's already pretty good normally.
And not get so worn out.
Yep, and not get so worn out, maybe be a little fresher for the playoffs, maybe only play, 32, 33 minutes a game instead of 36, 37 minutes a game. All that kind of stuff would greatly benefit this team, and in particular Damian Lillard, but that's just not how we're going to do it. We're just going to run him into the ground for the rest of the season and have to carry the load and have to exert a tremendous amount of energy on every single play just to create something. And
but
it's just not sustainable because you get a team that pressures him and traps him and takes him out of the game, and we have no clue what to do. So
but if he does well in spite of that, it's great coaching, right?
yeah.
So
he hits like that shot he hit at the end of the third quarter where it's like from the logo at the buzzer and stuff like that.
Phenomenal
that was all coaching.
Yep. Kanter had a good game, I guess. He had 19 points, 13 rebounds, 8 for 12. Derrick Jones Jr., 4 for 9, 2 for 5 from 3, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Rocco had a good defensive game, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals. Another 4-block game for him. I think he's been okay as our backup center. I don't think not having Gary Giles is the issue, but otherwise, Gary Trent Jr. I thought shot some terrible shots today. Forced some terrible, terrible looks today. I was very disappointed in Gary Trent Jr. in multiple aspects of tonight's game. And his defense, I think, should be better. He's not defending like he was in the bubble. His rebounding is absolutely garbage. The dude doesn't box out. The dude doesn't hustle after boards. There's a reason why. I mean, let me just look this up because I don't remember if we talked about this. But the dude is averaging he's averaging 2.1 rebounds per game in 30 minutes per game. Per 36, he's getting you 2.5 rebounds. I could do better than that because I would try. Like, there's no reason you should only be getting 2.5 rebounds. Every 36 minutes you're on the court.
Out on the fast break or something.
Yeah. Like, Bradley Beal got an offensive board in the first half today. Maybe it was the second half. I don't know. Bradley Beal got an offensive board, and I think you tweeted out, letting the smallest guy on the court get a rebound. Gary Trent Jr. just didn't box him out. Just turn around watching the shot go up.
That actually happened multiple times.
Like, bro, I know it's not his job, necessarily to rebound the ball. He's a shooting guard. But bro, just box out on the perimeter. You know what I mean? Like sometimes he leaks out, but there's so many times where he's not leaking out and he just doesn't box out and he just stands there and watch. And then if the ball kind of goes near him, he doesn't go compete for the board. Like, where was the guy we saw in the bubble that just played his ass off? Where's that guy? Because he's just not the same. I don't know what it is. Man. But he's not playing with the same heart, in my opinion, in terms of defense and going after rebounds even. And the thing is, he never was he wasn't a good rebounder last year. I don't know. He doesn't really compete for boards like he should. Like, he should be a better rebounder than Damian Lillard. He should be a better rebounder than CJ McCollum. He's a little bigger, a little stronger. Doesn't make sense to me. So I was very disappointed with him today.
The only thing I could possibly think as to why that is, I mean, it's not as likely this year since we have Jones and Rocco, but oftentimes he is guarding the guy who shoots the ball, so he's not necessarily in a position to rebound if he's the guy up top, like guarding on the perimeter. Whereas Dame and CJ are usually hiding in the corners off their weaker defenders so they can crash the boards easier. So that might be one reason why. But overall, yeah, other than, I mean, Trent's been a monster. It's hard to like get too down on him based on one game because he's been shooting the lights out since he's been a starter and for really the last 2 seasons. But yeah, he's definitely got to have that mindset that he had last year when he earned playing time, that it's going to start on the defensive end first and foremost. And I haven't seen that quite as much.
If he's missing shots, good shots, I'm not going to be hard on him. You know, it's when he is not doing the things that are completely controllable, or he's doing things that are completely controllable that he shouldn't be doing, like taking terrible shots. That's his decision, and I'm going to be hard on him if he's making the wrong decision because he's in control of that. You know, he's not in control of, you know, how well he shoots. You know, I guess hypothetically he is, but like guys are going to miss shots. That's different. Whereas if he's taking terrible shots, I'm going to be hard on him for that. If he's not boxing out, that's a decision. he could decide to box out. He could turn, see his guy, put a body on him, but he's not. I'm going to be hard on him for that, right? He's not playing with the same effort as the bubble. That's a decision. You decide how hard you play. You know, and you can be motivated by maybe the coach benching you, not playing you 39 minutes when you're not playing that hard. I don't know. Like, you can be motivated by a coach, but like in the end, you got to decide how hard you play. You know, and the coach, you know, if you're not playing hard, maybe you shouldn't have as long of a leash. So I'm not making a Stotts excuse here. Or maybe you should play somebody who hustles like a Nassir Little, so it's not a Stotts excuse. But in the end, Gary Trent Jr. decides how hard he plays. And he's not playing as hard as he was in the bubble. So that's why I'm disappointed in him.
I felt like you could say that about like 5 or 6
yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, like, yeah, as far as the effort thing, yeah. But it's like Gary Trent Jr. is like, that is one of his biggest strengths, hypothetically. So, like, for him especially, man, it's like, what happened to you? Dude is not the same in regards to, like, the effort and hustle he played with in the bubble compared to now. Mm-hmm. It's like, once, you know, that happened in the bubble, it's like he made it. He doesn't have to hustle as hard or play as hard. I don't know. I don't know what it is. There's something off there, and it's frustrating. Shout out, we missed some shots for the $5 donut. He says, it's not right that coach doesn't show up each night with a true game plan and strategy and expects Damian to exert a $250 million performance each night. And yeah, that's exactly my point. If Dame doesn't have it, we should still be up. We still have the talent to win games if we just move the ball and we just, you know, don't rely on him to do everything. But a game like this where he isn't shooting the ball all that well, you know, can't really fit in, like, can't get good shots off around the rim, and they're defending him well. We just continue to just hope things change, and then if they don't, it's, well, you know, we got some good shots. No, you didn't. But we got some good shots, you know, they just didn't fall, man. So that's why we lost. I have an issue with that. So,
yep.
Anyway, anything else you want to touch on for this post-game show?
No, just, yeah, frustrating with the effort. And, yeah, I would have liked to hear an answer as to why Nas didn't get more run, but
yep, I would love to have a media pass. Man. But, you know, I don't know. Probably wouldn't be possible with you know, our critiques. But we're not gonna sell out for no media pass or the approval of, you know, the Pinwheel Empire side of Twitter. Nah. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in. Bummer that the game didn't go as planned. We got a chance to turn it around with what would be a huge win against the Phoenix Suns, the team we're battling with for 4th place right now, coming up on Monday. That's a 6 p.m. tip-off time. And then we got it back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. We'll have three streams on Monday and Tuesday. We'll have Blazers Uprise Live going live on Monday. Our last episode, we made our All-Star picks, so if you want to go watch it back and see what our All-Star picks were for the starters and bench, feel free to go do so and subscribe if you want. We will be streaming on Monday, going live between 3:30 and 4 p.m. And then we'll have the post-game show on Monday covering that Phoenix game. And then quick turnaround. We're playing in altitude on the second night of a back-to-back at Denver. It's going to be a tough one to win. We'll see what the Blazers can do, and we will have you covered on both of those. Like always, follow us on Twitter at TorreyJonesYT for me, at Hoopshock for Eric, at Blazers Uprise YT for the channel. Shout out to all my channel members. Your guys' support helps me a lot. Shout out to everybody who donated, and just shout out to everybody who tuned in and joined us on this stream. If you want to become a channel member, hit the join button below. We're dropping members only full highlights videos over on the third channel. And I dropped one for the previous game. Who did we play last? I don't even remember.
Pelicans.
Yeah, I dropped one on the Pelicans game for members only. If you didn't get to see that, check the community tab. I might drop one on this game as well. Got a couple more before the night's out for members only. So if you want to become a member to view those videos, hit the join button below, and that's how you can become a channel member. I need a list. I keep. At the end of these, every time I do the outro, I'm like, I need a list of like things that I need to plug. I'm pretty good spitting it off the top, but I'm always like, what am I forgetting? I don't know. Anything else left to plug, Eric, or anything else you want to just say in general before we sign off here?
No, we'll just see everyone Monday.
Yep. Your voice, yeah, your voice doing okay? You were spitting fire there for a second.
Sorry, anyone I offended by cussing earlier. My bad.
I think the majority of people were entertained by that. So, yep, nope. That's not what we're talking about. GK. That's nope. We're just gonna sign off here, bro. People say they need more rants. Hey, man, this team has to play bad once in a while, right? Or this team has to lose a bad loss once in a while just to give you guys good entertainment. So shout out to Stotts, man, for getting Eric to rant and entertain you guys tonight. But good event. We'll move on and try and be better the next game. Hopefully we move the ball better and get better shots against the Suns, because if not, it's going to be more brutal than this. Anyway, that's a wrap for this post-game show. We will catch you guys on Monday. Hopefully you have a good rest of your weekend and a good Sunday. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.